Finally, I wanted to end off with a question. This is something that's been on my mind a lot, which is if 80% of retail and traders fail, let's say that's generally the number that floats around, would you ever recommend that somebody trades? And I'm like, under what circumstances would you recommend that for somebody?
If you have a burning desire to be in control of your investing decisions, I think it's a question of whether or not you want to be active or passive. Do I recommend being active? No, actually, I don't. I actually think most people probably should move to passive investing, and we see most of the world going that direction. A massive amount of capital in the markets right now is controlled through Roths and 401ks, and most of those investment choices are effectively passive. You're just dollar cost averaging into a low cost ETF or a mutual fund every month, and so there's really no active investing decisions there. You're taking whatever the market can give you, and you're happy with the average every year. I became obsessed with this because I really enjoy the process of understanding markets and building strategies, investing in companies, researching new approaches. I just think it's fascinating. And even if I'm taking a small hit in the long run and maybe not outperforming the market, I'm still happy and content to be in this position because I enjoy being an active investor and trader. So I think it's a personal choice you have to decide on. You contend with that choice in your head. Are you willing to take on this type of risk? Are you willing to potentially underperform the market in the long run, which is very, very likely to happen for many, many people who get involved in this? And maybe one of the things I would offer, and I say this a lot to people I talk to about getting into trading, maybe take at least half the money or 75% of the money and just put it into the SPY or some low cost ETF, and then compete against the performance of that. If that's making you 12% a year, then try to beat 12% a year in an active account. It's really difficult to do, you'll find, as you start the process, because usually up front people take more risk than they probably should, and then they experience pretty big drawdowns, and it's really hard to recover from those drawdowns. It takes a really long time. So the process is such an educational journey. I've tweeted about this recently. I think I've learned more about myself as a trader than anything else I've ever done, because I've had to confront everything about my personality, about the way I think about things, the way I analyze things, the way that I stay consistent, the way I build a system. All of those steps along the way to getting to consistency have, in my opinion, made me a better person for myself. So it's a personal choice. You've got to decide whether you're willing to take those risks versus just doing something passive.
I've seen so in school, we're taught all kinds of different fields that we might not pursue because there's some inherently useful in learning about that subject. And for me, it's always like sports. When they put me in gym, I go, I can guarantee 100%. I'm sitting behind a computer for the rest of my life. I will never pick up a ball if I don't need to. But obviously, it teaches you things that's super useful. For me, there's two things like that I wish were part of the curriculum, and it's what I try to teach my kids and stepkids. Stand-up comedy. Learn how to speak in front of people to make them laugh. It's way harder than you think, and you realize you actually have to pay attention to everything that you're doing. That's useful. But two is trading. Even if you're trading $5 for something, because the things that it teaches you of how to think about yourself, how to think about others, how to think about trends and markets, how to look for opportunities. I mean, it's just absolutely invaluable. Can you imagine a group of 17-year-olds who have to try to turn $100 into more by the end of whatever semester that they're in? Like what they would actually learn about who they are and what they can actually do.
Yeah.
To me, it's absolutely invaluable just on the basis of the techniques that you can learn and what you learn about yourself. So I would highly recommend anybody learn how to trade with the full expectation, just like in stand-up comedy, that you're going to bomb violently, and you could feel absolutely terrible because you're going to feel that feeling in other moments in your life, and better to do it in a controlled environment where you're expecting it's going to happen.
So an interesting thing that I think I've discovered about you, Tom, is that you're most likely way more resilient than I am. And I think you've probably learned that resiliency through some of the risks that I've heard you take. I've taken some risks, some big risks in trading, and sometimes the process is really hard for me. And that's another thing I've learned about myself, is like how I overcome losses, and I've learned to overcome them differently than it was way early on in my career. So again, like, to the point, there's just so many, I can't even enumerate the number of things I've learned about myself through this process.
Yeah, when I I was bragging about the 50x trade, leverage trade that I am in crypto. I'm like, oh, things going well, and then it's not going well, and then you get to like eat crow and see what it's like to have a literal log of your failures or successes,
Mhm.
and then be able to tie future decisions based on it. You go, hey, wait, I shouldn't do this because I remember this feeling. I shouldn't cut off this person in traffic because I remember that feeling of, oh, I needed to get somewhere quick and taking a shortcut, and that didn't end well. So how about I just wait at this red light and not speed forward? It's just been useful in every part of my life,
Yep.
except of course making money. It's the one part that it's not actually useful for me.
I except for making money. Well, the I feel like if you spent your career in sales, there's some part of your career where you can kind of be a bullshit artist, right? Like, you can get away with just kind of fudging the numbers, kind of fudging the details, but the market is like the absolute level set for any of that nonsense. You're either going to get the right trade, or you're not going to get the right trade, and you're going to get slapped if you make the wrong decision. There's no bullshitting your way through this stuff.
Exactly. Oh, that's why I love it so much.